Before you actually drive the car, you must learn some of its basic functions.
The first thing we need to go over is the gear shift and how it works and what each letter stands for. The first setting on the gear shift is P for park, which will lock the wheels and not allow them to move at all, which is, as you can see, what we have the car in right now. The next setting on the gear shift is R, which stands for reverse. This shift is usually used for pulling into or out of parking spots. The third setting is N for neutral. On this setting, the car will be allowed to roll forward and the wheels will not be locked, but will not take a speed increase from the gas pedal, but needs to be stopped by the brake if necessary. This setting is usually used when the car runs out of gas and needs to be pushed somewhere. The last setting we're going to discuss is the one that's used the most. This setting is D for drive. This is the setting that you will use to push the car forward or drive it forward by using the gas pedals and stopping it with the brakes. The last two settings are 2 and L, which really don't need to be discussed because they are rarely used in this vehicle.
Over a few safety things that are always necessary. You must buckle your seatbelt whenever driving the car, and you must always make sure your passengers are buckled as well. Now that our seatbelt is buckled, we need to check our mirrors, the major one being the rear view mirror, making sure you can always see what's directly behind your vehicle. Then you have to check your side mirrors. Side mirrors are imperative for the blind spot, which is a very easy way to get into an accident while driving. And now we are ready to start the car.
We now see the dashboard, which has a lot of useful information for a driver. The first piece of useful information is all the way to the left, and that is revolutions per minute, which stands for how much you're revving the car. The second thing is the middle piece, which is miles per hour, which stands for how fast you're driving the car. And lastly, we have the third piece, all the way to the right. This stands for what most people would say is the most important thing, how much gas you have in your car.
We now must cover what some of the handles near the steering wheel will perform. These tasks are vital to driving safety, especially to letting other drivers around you know what you're doing. The first being the turn signals. To your left, you have a handlebar over here that when you flick it up and kind of towards your right, it will indicate a right turn signal. The second part being if you flick it down, kind of more towards the left, it will indicate a left turn signal. I will now provide an example of this.
I have flicked the turn signal up, indicating a right turn signal. As you can see, by the indicator constantly flashing, this lets you know that you have the correct direction turn signal on.
I will now do a left turn signal demonstration.
As you can see from here, I have flicked the indicator handlebar down to the left, indicating a left turn signal. We will now show you the example as the indicator flicks on and off. This lets you know that you are turning to the left with the direction the arrow is pointing.
If you are driving in difficult conditions or need to pull over to the road for assistance, you should use your hazard lights.
In this vehicle, the hazard light is in the top left of the dashboard. When you hit it, it indicates that both your turn signals are now on, which, as we know, the car can't turn in both directions. This is why it is able to indicate to other drivers that the conditions are making driving difficult for you, or you need in need of assistance. Before driving anywhere, besides just making sure your seatbelt is buckled and you're safe, you must make sure your passenger's seatbelts are buckled as well. As we can see here, my passenger seatbelt is not buckled due to the flashing indicator that indicates passenger. Now he has buckled his seatbelt, which we can see as the light has turned off. And to double check, we can see that the seatbelt is buckled in right there.
When it is raining or snowing, you should turn on your wipers. I've turned on the wipers by indicating the right handlebar to the right of the steering wheel down 2 notches. It could also be flicked down 1 notch for a slower speed, and down 2 for a faster speed, and all the way down to 3 if it is raining hazardously. A good rule of thumb, though, is that if your wipers are on, your lights should be on.
We will now discuss the pedals in the car that indicate how you want the car to move. The first one being more to the right and the smaller pedal is the gas pedal. This is what will rev the engine and let the car go. The second one being to your left and the bigger pedal is the brake. This is the pedal that will stop the car's inertia or forward motion. A good driver, and more importantly, a safe driver, drives using only one foot. Now that we are ready to drive, we must set our hands on the 10 and the 2 spots on the steering wheel. We now must change on the gear shift the car from park to drive so we can actually move the car forward, which I will do now. Before you change gears, you must place your foot on the brake. If you do not, the car will not allow you to change gears. Now, to pull out of the spot that we are in, we must choose a direction to turn. In this case, we are going to turn to the left, so I will turn on the left turn signal. I will now let go of the brake and turn the car to the left. We then must let the steering wheel slip back through our fingers and straighten the car out. From here, we now must check our mirrors and make sure nothing else is around us. Now we must stop the car as we get ready to turn again. We are now going over how to make a right turn. When we do this, we are going to allow the car to move forward, then turn on the right turn indicator to indicate that is the direction we are going in, and proceed with the turn, which I will do now. Like before, let the steering wheel come back to its original position, straighten the car out, and then check your mirrors in all other directions to make sure that you are safe and can continue to move in the direction you would like to. We are now approaching a stop sign. When approaching a stop sign, you must remember that you need to slow your vehicle and come to a complete stop before the white line that is in line with the stop sign. From there, you check all directions, make sure nobody else is going, and if anybody there is before you, allow them to go first. Once it is all clear, you may then proceed to go yourself. We are now stopped completely before the white line. I will check my rear view mirror and my side mirrors to make sure nothing is coming from there, and then peer to the left where I see a stopped car, and straight ahead of me where I see another stopped car. Both cars clearly have no indication of moving, and I now have the right of way to continue through the stop sign. We are now going to go over pulling into a parking spot. As you'll be able to see as I begin to move the car forward, this is a very simple parking spot to pull into due to the fact that there are not many surrounding vehicles or other surrounding distractions. Further driving school will give you an in-depth analysis of more difficult parking spots which you will need in driving in the actual world. We will begin to show you this demonstration now. We're now going to go over pulling out of a parking spot. When doing this, you cannot just solely look at your rear view and side mirrors. You need to also check over your shoulder and look straight through the rear window to make sure that you are clear to pull out and avoid an accident. I will begin this demonstration now. We have gone over the basics of how to drive a car. For further instruction and a more in-depth analysis, I would check with your local driving school or the nearest DMV to you. Thank you for watching and drive safely.